What are you doing, Tina?
What are you doing, Jenny?
We are two women living our best lives in the Black Hills of South Dakota, sharing our stories, laughs, and projects happening in the garage.
Whether you're looking for a bit of joy, a spark of creativity, or just a comforting voice, you can find it here. Unicorn!
Episode 9.
Yay!
9.
Amy Rose, Jenny, Tina.
Yes.
Stars of the show over
Here
there.
we are,
Episode
live
9.
and in color.
How are you feeling this morning?
I feel great this morning.
You look great. You both do.
Yeah, very boho. I like the outfit.
Thank you.
Boho.
Tina loves to dress me at TJ Maxx, and so a lot of times we'll go in there and Tina will just she flips through every single rack and like pulls all the things, and then I just have to go try it on, and she does a great job.
And I'm like, you can wear this shirt with these pants and these pants. And
Little known fact about Tina, she's great at dressing you.
Wow. Great at everything. Is there anything you're not good at?
yes,
She can't make an over easy egg.
I can't. No over easy egg. I hate
She hates dishes.
dishes.
I love doing dishes.
Probably two of the things at the top of the list. I'm sure
Okay.
if we sit here longer, there'll be more. But
I'm just going to go ahead and dive right in.
jump
Okay.
in.
There's been a question on my mind.
Yeah.
Okay.
Has there ever been a turning point in your life where you just felt like you needed a change?
Yeah, I mean, I think change is healthy. Change is good. I think it depends on the context that you're asking. Is it more so like you're reinventing yourself, or is it something that you've been carrying that you're trying to find to let go?
That would be the one right there.
Okay.
Something you're carrying.
So I think in a past episode, couple episodes ago, we may have touched on my prior relationship and just how toxic that individual was. And it took me a while to get to the point to exit that relationship. And then once I did, it took me a bit of not only therapy, but work on myself to release and purge the anger, the vitriol that I had toward her. Sheer, like, hatred, nearly. And the person that damages the most is you.
Right.
Because geographically and physically, we're no longer in touch any longer at that point. So the only one that's it's taking up rent in my head.
It's like drinking poison and waiting for the other person to die.
Yeah,
Right?
100%.
Yeah.
So I needed to find my way to kind of let that go in order to move forward. So.
And how did you do that?
Therapy for sure, a lot of therapy, and a lot of coming to realize that it was never about me. It wasn't my fault. It's who she is as an individual. She is wired that way, neurologically wired that way. There was nothing I was going to be able to do to quote unquote fix that, help her. It was never about me.
So you were feeling guilt for her?
Yeah, I think I was feeling like shortcoming, right? Like that I wasn't enough, that what I was doing wasn't enough.
Because you are a fixer.
I'm 100%. So, and coming to terms with failing, I failed at being able to solve this problem, to be enough, when it was really never about me being enough. It wasn't about me at all. So, yeah, that would be it for me.
How long did it take you to get over that?
Oh, I mean, it was pretty steady therapy for a solid 6 months. And then it's, finding your moxie again, being able to not think about her in that way or me in that way. It was a year for sure of really making a concerted effort to, nope, that's not yours to carry. Like, I would say that to myself a lot. That is not yours to carry.
Almost like you have to draw like a line in the sand and be like, not allowed to
here's my boundary.
go back to that dark place,
Yep.
Moving forward from here.
I had some good friends that used to say, stop touching the hot stove. Why do you keep touching the hot stove? Why do you keep going back? When are you going to learn?
And that can be really difficult to choose to go get help and, talk to somebody about it because it's just so draining.
Yeah, for sure. And I think one of the things early on that I was drawn to our relationship about, Jenny, is your openness about mental health is health.
I say it all the time. On the daily, I say mental health is health.
And it's such a taboo subject. I think people are afraid to talk about therapy. They're afraid to talk about mental health or mental illness, whether that's anxiety or depression or ADD, ADHD, bipolar disorder, whatever those things may be. That is a disease just like alcoholism, which is another taboo. We so freely talk about cancer and heart disease and diabetes and there's empathy in those conversations, yet we don't show empathy as a society typically with mental and emotional health. And that is now bled into the recent surge of GLP-1s, of weight loss, so I think that this is a really large conversation that needs to be had for sure.
What about you, Jenny? Have you ever had a turning point in your life where you're just like, that's enough?
100%. I think, when we talk about mental health, there's nobody alive on planet Earth today that hasn't had some sort of a mental health struggle, whether that be,
Agreed.
Stress from overwork, stress from, financial insecurity, or worry about kids and parenting, or our own baggage from, our childhoods that we have unresolved issues. And surely I'm no different. I think that a huge not even a huge, the biggest turning point for me was my sobriety journey, So, I'm a recovering alcoholic. I've been sober. I celebrated 3 years of sobriety on March 13th of 2025. And that has been by far my biggest flex in the world. And, I am just a terrible moderator when it comes to alcohol. And it took me a long time to kind of come to terms and come out with that and say it, but that's the truth. Like, once I get going, I don't have an off switch. And that's not healthy, And I think I remember in early sobriety, like within my first 6 months, it was almost like somebody pulled back a veil and I was able to see alcohol culture for what it was, especially when it comes to women.
About that a lot.
This mommy wine culture, right? Where in order to succeed or deal with the stress of parenting, you need like mommy sippy cup, or, you need an alcoholic beverage to deal with the stress of parenting, raising kids, having a job, a career, whatever. And in reality, in my experience, it was the one thing that held me back in so many ways from stepping into my full potential. And, you know, I've only been sober 3 years. I know for some people at the beginning of a journey that seems like forever. And I sure remember how that feels too. But I think, you know, 3 years into this journey of embracing full consciousness, I realized that had I not given up alcohol, I never would have been able to step into the person that God created me to be. And I never would have been able to fulfill my earthly work or God's purpose and will for my life without the absence of alcohol. It was always something that was in the way.
It was a deterrent. Like,
It was.
It was the rock that you would carry uphill.
Totally. And, you know, I mean, I read this book a while back. It was called Drop the Rock. And, I mean, the title kind of says it all, right? I mean, it's a simple thing, easier said than done. But, you know, in my life and in my life experience, I am just so incredibly grateful. I never thought I would say I was grateful to be an alcoholic, but man, it's probably the thing that I'm the most grateful for, besides you, Tina.
Thank you, baby.
Today in my life is being an alcoholic and being on the other side of that and not in active addiction. And, you know, I wasn't like an everyday drinker. I wasn't getting plowed every night. I didn't lose my job. I didn't lose my kids. I didn't lose my house. And I think there's this also misconception that if you aren't losing those things, then you don't really have a problem.
Right.
And somebody recently asked me, I get a lot of messages about alcohol and people questioning their own relationship with alcohol and
your sober journey.
You might, yeah. And somebody said, well, how much is too much to be drinking? And I said, I don't think it matters how much you're drinking as much as it matters how much you feel about what you're drinking. Because, you know, in my experience, I could have 1 or 2 glasses of wine and still feel incredibly guilty and full of shame the next day because I knew that that behavior was no longer in alignment with who I wanted to be.
Yep, it didn't serve you. I remember you that Sunday morning sitting in the kitchen nook and you telling me, sitting me down, having coffee, and you said, I want to talk to you about something. And I said, okay, great. Like what's going on? And you said, I'm going to give up alcohol. I'm going to start AA. I don't want to drink anymore. I'm an alcoholic. And my reaction was, you're not an alcoholic. You don't have, I would say that you, and this is what I said to her, I would say that you don't have an off switch, but you don't drink every day, Jenny.
Right.
It's just when you do, it's both barrels. And she said, and that's what you see, but what I feel is different, you know, and that's when you brought up the amount of guilt that you carry and you know, your association. And I've never been a big drinker, and alcoholism runs in both sides of my extended family. So I think that's probably one of the bigger reasons that alcohol was never really a thing for me. And I could take it or leave it. So when she made the decision that this was what she was going to do, I was like, perfect, I'll do it with you. You know, I mean, not that it's not a huge...
Which in and of itself, I could never imagine being like a drinker and my partner coming to me and saying they were going to give up alcohol and me being like, yeah, I'll just give it up too. Like, I would have been like, what? I don't want to give that up.
Yeah. Oh, I could do that easily.
Yeah.
And for her to say that was first completely unnecessary. You know, I did not have that expectation. I didn't make that request.
No, not at all.
But it has been incredibly helpful to me and such a source of support because it's just not a thing in our lives, you know? And I think I have alcoholism also on both sides of my family. I'm also Irish and Native American. I didn't have a chance. And so, you know, I think that being able to allow my kids to watch me through this sobriety journey, which in the beginning I was mortified that they would even know that I was on a sobriety journey. And now I would have to say that it's probably the one thing that they are the most proud of me for.
We talk about, first of all, I mean, we really talk about everything with the kids. We're very transparent. But Jenny going on this journey and even through, you've gone through making your amends in the 10 steps more than once.
12 steps.
Or 12, sorry. See, this is how much I know about alcohol, and I was
You're
never
such a
big
normie.
drinker.
It's great.
You know, even when you went through that process and having conversations with each of them individually, just the emotional attachment that brought for you and for them was so moving to see.
You know, it's a whole nother conversation when you sit your kids down one by one and say, I'm really sorry for the way that my drinking affected you as a child. And, you know, not a lot, but there definitely were a handful of times that my kids saw me drunk, and I'm not proud of that, you know, and I want them to have a mom they can be proud of, but more than that, even more than that, I want them to have a childhood experience that doesn't have alcohol as a central character. And I want to live a life of purpose and joy and meaning that is absent of alcohol so that they have that example. And I think it's been really powerful for them. You know, Henry told me the week before last, he said, I just don't think I'm ever going to drink alcohol. And I said, good for you. Because there's nothing good that comes out of it, right? I mean, nobody ever says like, man, I was really killing it at life. Or, I mean, I'm not really killing it at life and I want to be better in every way. So I think I'm going to go hang out at a bar more,
Right.
You know, or if I could just have 3 drinks every night, I really think my productivity would turn around.
That's a good point.
You know,
Oh my gosh.
nobody ever says
Nobody says that.
Like you look at all the top like leaders in the world and people who are really killing it at life.
I think I'd really inspire people if I drank a bottle of tequila.
Totally.
Right, exactly.
You know?
Maybe my life's purpose will show itself to me if I... Yeah.
And I think too, like the going places. I remember in the beginning I was so nervous to. We went to the Heart Ball.
The Heart Ball
Was one of the very first events I went to.
And
sober.
I was like, I got you.
And so Tina went up to the bar and she got me like a cranberry juice soda with a lime in it, and like a soda water. And she's like, here, like nobody knows that's not a vodka soda. And I was just like, oh, okay. And do you know, and I all of a sudden, somehow in my mind, I expected people to care or notice. Nobody cares.
Nobody cares.
Nobody notices. And now when we go places where, and it doesn't bother me one bit. It did in the beginning. I avoided all situations with alcohol. I didn't go to bars. I didn't, you know, none of that. And mostly I was an at-home drinker. But now it doesn't bother me to go anywhere where there's alcohol. And as a matter of fact, we're usually the first people to leave because you can just watch the quality of the conversation degrade, you know? And I know you probably know this because you host events
do
at
all
bars,
these social
right?
events and
And I used to bartend.
Yeah, so you've seen it firsthand.
So you can see it. Like, you know, pretty soon there comes a point in the night where we're like,
Yep, that's good.
are we good? Like, you know, do you want, and no judgment on the people that are having a good time.
No,
good on you.
No, like that's their prerogative. It's just not our jam.
But it's just not for us. And so this is such a long answer, but I think that there's been so many unexpected gifts in sobriety, which I really have to attribute to my faith and the presence of, God in my life, and being quiet in my mind and spirit and heart enough to be able to hear God speaking to me, if that makes sense. And, it's really led me down this path of self-discovery, self-awareness, but also a trust fall into whatever God has planned for me.
I think his largest revelation for you is yet to come. I think it still lies ahead.
I think he's up there going,
Oh,
I can't wait for this.
Can't wait
Right?
to get my plan,
I hope that's true.
moving.
Yeah.
Chapter 2.
Yeah.
Chapter 1, solid sobriety. You've got some time under your feet.
Yeah.
You have been a massive resource and inspiration for people around us, locally in our tribe.
I've been honored to
People
be that.
that are sober curious have asked in a non-judgmental capacity. You have provided them firsthand input of just being a listener, and that has spilled over to the lives that we do on Friday and the people that we celebrate with, that longtime listeners, longtime followers. Brooke, 297 days. You've got,
Amazing.
so many people, 26 years, 10 years, 30 years, 2 years, 27 days. We talked to somebody the other day that had 27 days. Like, those are all big things and monumental from the perspective of them having a safe place to share that and get affirmation. Like, bravo you.
Thanks, honey. And I think for me personally, alcohol I see now as a complication. It's something that because in my drinking life, there was all these negotiations going on in my head. Like, should I get a bottle of wine tonight? Should I not? If I get a bottle of wine, can I only have 2 glasses? Like, all of these conversations happening in my mind, which are not there anymore. And I think in the way of how it affected my self-worth is I never ended up feeling like I was worthy of good things, because I felt like I had to make up for this yucky drinking thing, right? It was like my dirty little secret. And now that that's not there anymore, I feel fully engaged and like I do deserve good things, and that I'm an active participant in those good things. And there's no yeah, but in the back of my mind. Yeah, but you drank a bottle of wine last night. Yeah, but your kids saw you buzzed. I don't carry those feelings anymore. And it's really, I can't even tell you what a weight it is off of me and how good it felt to drop the rock. And I also don't think we'd be living this life. Not because I feel, for me, even though I drank at home, my drinking was such an isolator for me, where, I'd pour a big glass of wine and disappear into the bedroom or, my bathroom and closet and kind of putz around in there so I could, have some wine in peace. And so I wasn't as an active participant as I would have been if that wasn't there. And so now we're just full court press all the time, present, radically present around everything. And I think that's really kind of what started this whole thing, kicked this whole thing off, was just looking for fun things to like fill time or spend time together. And that's sort of how we started making videos. And I think in my professional life too, things have, for people who don't know, I own a company called Black Hills Advocate. I do healthcare navigation and consulting and complex case management. And I can say that, like, since I've been sober, a lot of conversations that I have, they're all mixed up, So it could be health navigation and consulting, but a lot of times it takes another turn where maybe I'm helping someone, with something they're struggling with in their personal life, or helping a new business owner try to figure out how they're going to perform their business and execute their plan.
I think that's one of the things that I have observed from afar that's it's kind of fascinating for me. I learn from that is how much your personal experience with your relationship with alcohol has shaped the conversations that you have with people that that may come in and meet with you under a completely different premise. You know, that experience guides your response. And a lot of times it ends up in this place of...
It can.
Yeah. So...
Yeah, it really informs my interactions with people and helps. It's just on a whole different level. And so, Tina, thank you for making our life so fun. Thank you for being so, amazing in all the ways. But, I think one of the things that's exciting to me is I'm making a shift in my business, and I'm adding life coaching onto what I offer. And that's incredibly exciting for me, but it's also something I don't take lightly. And
you've talked about this for years.
I know.
Since I have known you, this has been like this quiet little dream of yours that you kept kind of poo-pooing.
Well, I was too busy. I was so busy.
Yeah. And you kind of were like, well, maybe someday, and you would justify why you weren't pursuing it.
Right. Yeah. And I think sometimes in our lives, have you ever had that feeling where you're just like, well, I'm not qualified to do that. Maybe someone else, I'm not qualified to do that. And so I think it's taken me 3 years to just be like, actually, yes, I think I am qualified to do that. And I think I can offer a new perspective or listen to someone and help them work through, just be a witness, a non-judgmental witness in the room that can help kind of guide a conversation to help someone discover their own truth. It's not me telling my truth. I'm interested in conversations that, facilitate other people in finding their own answers. Right. And so, I'm super excited about that. Yeah.
Can you go back and talk about the guilt of drinking a little bit more?
Good question.
What was that defining moment? Because in addiction, you have those moments where you're excited to go drink the bottle of wine. And then you reach that moment where you get to that guilt. What was that moment for you?
So I think it goes to me not being a bad moderator with alcohol and not having an off switch. So, if my intention was to get a bottle of wine and have 2 glasses and save the other half for tomorrow, something would happen during the second glass where I would then just drink the whole bottle. Okay. I was just a bad moderator. It's almost like that. It's called the phenomenon of craving, where once you start, you don't stop until, it's gone or you pass out. And, as my drinking progressed, and I would say especially after the age of 40, I don't think that I had as much of a tolerance for alcohol. It was probably my liver doing a death wail, being like, stop drinking. But it's it was like a loofah sponge.
That's right.
It's over there sucking its thumb.
That's right.
Yeah. But I think don't do it anymore. So that's where the guilt would come from, because it was the unintended result of something I could no longer control.
Yeah.
And once you kind of understand that it's it's a brain thing that happens, a real thing that happens in your mind where you do lose control. you just don't want to do it anymore. And I think for me, once I realized that one drink was never going to be enough, the only answer was one or none. You know, like if I couldn't have, you know, we all have that, like, or I did anyway. I had this like vision of me in a nice restaurant sipping one glass of wine and that being enough, and that wasn't my reality. And so, you know, once I realized that I was never going to be able to just have one, the logical answer for me became none.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is that what inspired you, or what inspired you to make the change?
I did not like the way that I was feeling inside. And, you know, outwardly to look at me, you'd think, oh, she's doing it. She's going to work every day.
She's got her shit together.
She's doing it. She's doing the deal. But it was really a reflection. My decision to get sober was a reflection of my inner condition. And I felt spiritually bankrupt. I felt not good about myself. I felt shame and guilt. I knew that I was not fulfilling my best effort as a mom, as a wife, as, you know, a professional, all of these things. Now I have younger staff that look up to me. I didn't feel like I was doing them any justice, and I just felt called to be more in my life. And I knew that that was the one thing that was holding me back. And I just decided, at one point, I decided that I loved myself enough not to give parts of myself away anymore to alcohol. And it has made all the difference in the world, because I know that no matter what happens, good, bad, I mean, things are going to happen. I also had this like, do you remember when I told you when I first got sober and we had like some big challenge that happened, and I was like, wait, this isn't supposed to happen. I'm sober.
Right.
And Tina was like, do you think just because you're sober, like bad things aren't going to happen? And I was like, yes, that's exactly what I thought. And I can't believe that this I was just so offended.
Yeah.
And what I realized is that because bad things happen in life, because there will always be a reason to drink, there will always be stress, there will always be, I mean, believe me, you can find an excuse.
Justification can happen.
Yeah, you can justify anything anytime. That being sober actually gave me the right tools to be able to navigate those challenges in a healthy way and not in a self-destructive way. You know, it's sort of like drinking the poison again.
Yeah.
Right? So a stressful thing happens in your life. You had the worst day ever. Like just the absolute, everything that could go wrong went wrong. And so you go drink about it. Let's say you go drink about it. Well, then you don't sleep very good. For me, it tears up my insides. So now, like, okay, let's just be real. So now I have I didn't sleep well. I have diarrhea. And then I wake up in the morning. I have a headache. I feel like crap. I want to eat crap food because grease will make it better, right? Maybe some of those tater tot rounds.
Don't forget the inflammation and swelling.
Yes.
Right.
Yep.
So now I've taken ibuprofen. I've taken some Tylenol. I've eaten terrible food. I didn't sleep last night. And my stomach's a mess. And how am I going to go navigate the stress of how am I going to go navigate that?
And it was always for me, it wasn't a problem. I didn't see what she felt, if that makes any sense.
It does make sense,
okay.
Yes.
And now being on this side of her journey and watching that and having listened to her speak about this, it was a very reactionary activity. She was reacting to the stresses of life, to the stresses of a job, to a bad day. It's reactionary. Well, now she has the tools in the toolbox, the life experience to be proactive, to I now see that this could, whatever in my day, whatever situation could become problematic, instead of not having the tools and let it becoming a problem and then reacting to it by drinking, she can pivot and avoid the problem or fix things so they don't become a problem. And now it's a proactive movement instead of being this reactionary activity.
Yeah. And I still have days that, just like everybody else, days that are 1-star days,
right,
or 0-star days.
Yep.
But, I think I'm just so much more centered, and I feel so much more able to deal with whatever comes my way, good or bad, because not all stress is bad. I mean, some of the journey that we're on has created good stress. It's all a positive thing, but now there's more things to do and more emails to answer and more,
more people to
just
reach,
more expectation and more, And it feels really good to be able to flex the muscle of who I am, inside and out, in a way that doesn't leave myself behind. I'm with me now, and it's a pretty good place to be most of the time.
Do you still have those weak moments where you miss it or crave it?
I'm going to answer that in a way that I actually talked to my therapist about this recently, where I don't miss it. Sometimes I miss the idea of what the person having the one glass of wine in the nice restaurant. I miss the image, like that scenario, but that was never my reality.
Okay.
So it's important to reality check those things, because we're surrounded by all of that media all the time, about and TV shows.
Oh my gosh.
And, all of the drinking, who are the people on the frickin' soap opera that pour whiskey at all times of the day and night?
Yeah.
In their offices.
Yeah.
That doesn't really happen.
Right.
Unless you work here at Home Slice.
No comment. So, I just think there's all of these lies that we're told. And same thing with young moms, in this mommy wine culture and sort of this drinking
it's like
acceptance of drinking.
It's like we have portrayed this image of you need this to get through life. And they've kind of glorified it in some ways. If you look at, a lot of the evening shows or streaming television on, whatever platform, there is so much alcohol. And when did that happen? And that is not reality. It doesn't have to be reality. I find it's easy for us now to walk into a conversation and be like, oh no, we don't drink, but you're welcome to bring whatever if we're hosting a barbecue or a holiday dinner, bring whatever you want. It doesn't bother us to have it in the house or to be around it or anything like that. It's just not something we find that serves us.
Yeah. And I think setting that example is important. I mean, if you follow any of the people, and I do, I'm a student of leadership, I love, podcasts by high power individuals who, share things. That's not part of their life. It's not part of their makeup. They're saying, get up at 4 a.m., do your things, get some exercise, clear your head.
Yeah.
Do
do you think Simon Sinek's pouring a bottle of
love
Merlot
that
every night, or
No.
Gary Vee is doing shots of tequila on Saturday at the pool. Like,
No.
it just doesn't happen.
There's no
Yeah.
time for it.
There's no time for it, and it
Right.
doesn't serve them. It like, again, no judgment. We're not passing judgment and telling you that you can't drink or you're a bad person if you have a beer or a cocktail at night. That's not what we're saying. This was her experience and her journey and her decision, and I get to have a front row seat to see how that decision has served her.
That's cool.
That's cool.
That is cool.
And that's why I say, I'll go back to the statement I made a few minutes ago. I think that his revelation, his largest revelation for you, is yet to be uncovered.
Dun, dun, dun.
So with that being said, for somebody watching or listening to this right now, what do you want to say to them?
You can do it, and there's hope, and start from where you are.
Mm-hmm.
Start from where you are today. And, if somebody wants to book a coaching session with me, they can do that through my website at blackhillsadvocate.com. But there are so many resources and free resources in your area. I went to AA. I don't go much anymore, but in the beginning I went a lot. It was the best dollar I ever spent for a meeting when they passed the basket.
So the first thing you did is you went and told Tina,
Yep.
Yeah.
and the meeting was the second thing?
Yep. I went to a meeting.
And there were days that she would go to 2 meetings in a day in the
Yep.
beginning, and come home and tell stories, her experience or how it made her feel, or I would listen to friends of ours that were sober curious about their own journey once Jenny had revealed hers. And she often says, and still to this day, one foot in front of the hour, 1 foot in front of the other. Get through this hour. Get through this day. Get through this. It's how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time.
And I think too, what I've learned is, in the beginning, I think we're such habitual people that just the habit of, oh, it's Saturday night, like, normally I would be doing this. And so I think once you sit through the first Saturday, that's the hardest, right? And then every time after that, it gets just a little easier, and there's no way to make time go by any faster, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, the more distance I get from the days of my active drinking, the clearer I get about why I'm here.
And it's no mistake that we go live every Friday. It was a very intentional decision that Jenny made to go live every Friday and call it Mocktail Hour.
Yeah.
And
It's my nod.
it's most people cut out on Friday and go to happy hour and meet their work crew or their friends or their spouse. And
we have a
that's
lot
what-
of people trying to stay sober on a
Yep.
Friday night. And that is incredibly empowering, and it's also super humbling. And we are both honored to share space
Absolutely.
with those folks on a Friday night. If it
Celebrate
makes their
them.
life a little easier.
Absolutely. Let's go have some fun. And, Jenny's
Yeah.
drawing goofy eyebrows on my face. And, we
Tune into the live.
Tune
You
in.
could see me
It's-
do Tina's makeup.
Yeah.
We talk about fun things and goofy there's no agenda.
Right. And it's not all about sobriety,
No,
certainly.
not at all. But we celebrate the people that want to ask questions
Yes.
or that share where they are in their journey.
Yeah, we have people that come on our live who come on and immediately say what day count they are so that everybody can, and everybody is so gracious.
Words of affirmation.
Yeah.
Like, what
Celebrate
a
that.
better community than...
And what I like to believe is the one thing that can help anything and everything is love.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
they can find that with you.
Oh,
Yep.
well, thanks, Amy.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Yeah.
Thank
And
you.
It's an honor. It really...
Yeah.
We don't take any of this lightly. We are very humbled by the situation that we are in.
Mm-hmm.
It's not easy, but it's worth it. That comes
It's totally
to mind.
worth it. Yeah. And what, tell me what is. What is worth it that is just handed to you?
It comes easy.
You know?
So
I mean,
true.
it's those things in life where we had to dig deep, we had to work for it, we had to trust, and, you know, things that are hard are what make life worthwhile. And I'm just so grateful to be in the place that I am today with my sobriety, because, you know, it's less about me anymore. Well, it is and it isn't. It's less about me and more about what I can do for someone else, but that also feeds me and helps me stay sober.
It's been a great front row seat for me. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you so much.
I'm proud of you too.
Oh,
Thank
it's
you, guys.
just,
Thank
my
you.
gosh, such a big thing.
Inspiring.
It is like to open yourself up and be that vulnerable in that way and show people it's okay.
They're not alone.
Yes. Just, I'm so proud of you.
Thank you, honey.
If people want to reach out to you, there's a number they can call, a website they can go to.
Oh, yeah. Tina, take it away.
Yeah, so website is theunicornprojects.com. If you'd like to email in a question, info@theunicornprojects.com. And if you want to leave us a voicemail, we have a toll-free number, 844-605-LIFE, which is 844-605-5433.
Great.
And with that, all we have left is unicorn.
Unicorn.
Thank you for tuning in to the Unicorn Projects, hosted by Amy Rose with Jenny and Tina. Music by Caroline Kilty. Produced by Russ Haddon. Engineered by Chris Jaquez. It's the Unicorn Projects on the Home Slice Audio Network.